Open your eyes now. And this next part of the program feels special for Lee and I because we love it when we can come together with you, speak of personal things, and also answer some of the questions from our membership. We have had so many questions submitted about Kryon's message that was given about the new prophecy for old souls. So we wanted to dedicate this part of the program on that topic, even though it was several months ago, because we wish to clarify some of the things that people are specifically asking about. So if this is new information for you, if you've never heard about this prophecy, I encourage you to go back and watch the Wednesday evening episode that was given on March 6th of 2024. But here is a brief summary of what was given in that channel. Point number 1, when the future old soul arrives on the planet again, they will be without karma or the Akash. So no more Akash, no more karma. Instead, the emerging 24th chromosome pair is the new life template, which delivers wisdom and mastery. Super excited about that point myself. Point number two, the graduate old souls will receive esoteric wisdom through enhanced intuition, which is part of mastery teaching. And then point number 3 is that the new human will be given life instructions from their soul, not from an old energy Akashic system. And when I first heard that information, it felt like a door had been opened to even greater levels of awareness. And for me, everything expanded. And there were so many dots being connected and really understanding why we are moving into a new paradigm and why this is the shift in consciousness and how things work. So I loved hearing that others had similar experiences as well. And of course, whenever Kryon gives us startling new information or profound revelations, there are always loads of questions that follow. In fact, there were heaps of questions submitted in the portal that were all asking about the prophecy. So the first question that we wish to answer, it comes from Dawn, Beth, Catalina, Jenny, Marlene, Joy, and Rosemary, and probably others that didn't submit the question but thought the same thing. And basically their questions were asking the same thing but using different words. So I've created one question that best summarizes what they're all asking, and here it is. Question: can we release our karma and delete our Akashic records in this life and not have to wait for our next incarnation? And if not, what is the point of this life?
I love that whole question. I like the answer. What's the point? Well, when I answer this question, it helps me to go even further in what Kryon has indicated is happening. And that's what this show is all about, where we can go slower. I can back up and give you some background. First, what Kryon gave, remember, it's a prophecy. Now, a prophecy in nature is about the future. So everything Kryon has indicated for the old soul is about the future. It's not about right now. So we're going to fill in the gaps in just a moment. So don't just assume that the future life Kryon speaks of is going to mess up this one. This is just the way it is. I'm going to say something right now that's going to apply to almost every question today. I want you to take this to heart, truly. This new information about our Akash, our 24th DNA chromosome pair, and the future teaching of mastery is a wonderful, benevolent new system that honors all of us, the ones here and in the future. There's no bad news here. The only challenge is how we interpret it, especially how we interpret it in 3D based upon our training. Quite often, we decide the outcome based on a very linear thinking is that it's going to be a problem. We're all programmed to think differently spiritually. These programmings, it's most of the programs we received, we inherited very, very early from other spiritual systems, if you think about it. So I'm just going to back up and make some statements, and don't write me letters, but this is my truth. What I learned in church is about a very black and white set of rules from a supposedly very loving God. And I'm not going to quote it, but I'll say this. Here's what I learned. If you don't get baptized a certain way, you're going to be punished for eternity because of it. I immediately asked when I heard that, even as a child, but what if the person never heard about that? When they arrive to the gates of heaven, they're going to be punished because they weren't baptized correctly? Or if they go to the wrong church and worship God incorrectly, will they be punished? Because that's what I was told as well. The answer I was told from those questions I asked, even when I was small, is yes, they will. Those are the rules of God. God works in mysterious ways. They keep saying that. My response was, it just doesn't seem right. That's a child questioning love. And here's the answer the church gave me again. Who are we to question the majesty of God? And later I said, I am. The God that created me in his image will love all of creation and create benevolent rules, allow all of us to share in that majesty and glory, not just a few who follow your ideas. Those things you told me, I'm talking to the church, seem like men's rules, not God's rules. So here's what I'm getting at. No matter what the questions here today, the answers will be benevolent and loving, and will make sense, spiritual sense, and they will honor the human for this incarnation as well as the next. So listen, here it comes. Expect love and expect compassion from Spirit. God is love. But we tend to build in dysfunctions to our very questions. We really do. We expect God to do what our churches told us happens. So here's the answer to your question. The direct and loving answer that Kryon has given to us all on this subject is that the present old soul is currently awakening to this very new powerful system right now as you sit in your chair. This is what the shift is all about. We absolutely are beginning to drop the old energy that we don't need and activate the new things that we do need. Kryon gave us very specific information that there are enormous energies on this planet right now designed to help us exactly with this, to fight the dark energy that's starting to appear just because we are starting to create light. I speak of the system of the nodes and the nulls. We're going to work on that as time goes by. If you want to know more about that, it's Monica's specialty, actually, and we'll get into that. So for all of you, this is why you are here. And this has been the teaching of Kryon all along. In this new energy, you can reframe your entire existence here of what you thought you were here for or what you were taught you couldn't do. Every single old soul who is hearing this can know that what is in the future for you in your next incarnation is also here for you to pick up and use while you're here. That's the answer. So to circle back to that question again, we can release our karma and delete our Akash now instead of waiting for the next life. So the answer is yes for the old soul. And the entire reason for giving you that information now is because you are dearly loved. Expect benevolent answers to these linear questions.
So here is another question that some have been asking about the prophecy and this new system that no longer has the Akash as the main engine that drives spiritual advancement. The question is this: will we lose our talents and interests because that comes from the Akash?
I'm going to do something now that will help everyone answer for yourself almost every question you have about these new systems that Kryon is speaking of in the future? And by the way, that question is a good one. I mean, truly, if you take a look at the system and what Kryon has said, will you lose it? But we're going to do something fun. I hope it's fun for you. And it sounds a little outrageous. Okay. It's called role playing. Imagine you are God. Take a breath. Take a breath. And you're in love with every soul on the planet. Take a breath. This is role playing. Imagine you're God. And there is one soul in particular that you look at who is incredibly talented and who has received amazing musical and artistic abilities through years of inherited Akashic past life experience. They're just a monster talented person. And through the beauty and amazing heartfelt abilities of this person, they continue to bless thousands through their music, their lyrics, or his or her songs. You're God, remember, and you're looking at this person. So here comes this new system, one that tells us that the Akash will no longer drive who we are, and information that karma is also being eliminated. Okay, what are you going to do, God? Remember, you're role-playing. Shall we strike all that beauty away? Shall we eliminate all that practice over lifetimes of work and musical interests? Stop. Just stop for a moment. Don't think about anything but compassion first. Just think about what is the compassionate answer to that. What's the first impression when you think of a compassion here to make that decision? God, what will it be in your role-playing? I think you and I both know the answer. That individual will stay as they are through lifetime after lifetime, growing in talent and ability to help humanity with their music. Okay, now go ahead and ask the burning question. Well, yeah, but didn't Kryon tell us that the Akash would not be there anymore? If so, how will that person have that? They're going to lose out on that Akashic energy. How? There's all these linear questions. What if I told you instead here that these wonderful positive attributes that were formerly Akashic slowly became a part of this soul's mastery? And what if it stayed? What if I remind you that the attributes of mastery will be the new teaching? Are you getting this? Are you seeing the benevolence of this? So these become very linear questions for a very loving and multidimensional God who will always give benevolence within these kinds of systems. They're not black and white. They're not as you were told or you read in some scripture where if you do something wrong, you're going to get punished. The answer is that you will continue with these things that have blessed your life. But instead of those things coming from an old Akashic energy, because that's gone, they'll be fully implanted into the 24th set of chromosomes. Can you see how much more magnificent and grander humans are becoming? Can you see why Kryon says light is winning and that darkness doesn't have a chance?
Oh, thank you so much, Lee. I feel that your answer is so helpful and it gives us a glimpse into the mind of God, even though God doesn't have a mind because God is God. But I think everyone understands what I mean. Lee's answer demonstrates how we're often so linear, but God is not. Okay, here's another question about the prophecy, and it comes from Doris, who's in Switzerland, and Doris is asking, what about our memories of family, deceased persons such as our children, and the love we have for them, the connection and the experiences? And what about the memories and training in Lemuria and other knowledge, for example, our Pleiadian ancestry? What if my son doesn't awaken in this life? Is our connection gone in the next life?
You know why this is important? Because we have stressed even in the Lemurian teaching wheel and all these things before this prophecy that all this Lemurian teaching is in your Akash and we're reawakening to it. So I love this question because somebody is thinking through it. Thank you, dear, for asking this. Doris, You want to do role playing with me again on this one too? Let's not. Or can we agree to find the least linear answer and the most benevolent one possible? First and foremost, your Lemurian teachings may have started within your Akash at first, but slowly they went to those 24th pair of invisible master-laden DNA parts that we keep talking about. This is the lineage of an old soul that you are. That's what was given to you in Lemuria, teachings of mastery, the experience of life, all of the issues and the problems and how to solve them. That is the beginning teaching of mastery. That DNA, those 24 set of chromosomes, that's where the most sacred things you ever learned will eventually be transferred to. And that's the next level for you. And those were transferred accordingly. So they are now in the 24th pair. They're not in the Akasha anymore, and they wouldn't be. It's only logic that if you were taught mastery, they would go into the places where mastery is now kept and taught to you. We must start talking about what we gained along the way instead of what we might be losing through an old energy Akash leaving. Here's another statement. This is I will make it from Kryon, who talks to me all the time. It's for you, it's for others, it's for all of us. Here it is. All the most magnificent things in your life, your talents to help others, your relationships that are sacred, love, your star ancestry, all of it now resides in that place of mastery within your DNA. Spirit will never take away these things, no matter how you decide to categorize them in the area of Akashic experience. Back to me. As far as your son is concerned, or for anyone else listening or watching, I have this news. Those relationships and the potentials, those were never in the Akash. They're all attributes of soul sharing, a completely different subject that Kryon has talked about a lot. So those that you may meet in this life, that you may still meet in the future of this life, all of those, they're almost completely dependent on your soul's willingness to allow it. This is a soul function, not an Akashic function. Those you've loved and lost, they don't go into your Akash, they go into your soul sharing. It's complex, as we have said before, but it doesn't belong in the discussion of Akashic energy. So again, we give you an unexpected answer from a very loving source who really knows you.
So as we continue I'm just like, I'm still processing that beautiful answer from Lee and from Kryon. But let's continue the discussion about the prophecy, because there were a few more questions that were submitted. Marja from Scotland and Donna from Canada were both asking about the new prophecy and how it would affect Gaia, the crystalline grid, and the cave of creation. But before Lee answers that question, I think it will be helpful if I give brief definitions for these terms, because they've come from Kryon, and I'm aware that many of you may not have heard of it before. So let's start with the crystalline grid. The crystalline grid, as defined by Kryon, is a spiritual grid that lays over the planet's surface. It records and remembers human actions and emotions. So it remembers everything humans have done and where they have done it. Human activity and vibration directly affect the crystalline grid and vice versa. In other words, the crystalline grid receives and retains the vibration of human consciousness, and then it transmits this vibration back to the human DNA. And it talks to Gaia. And the Gaia part talks to anything crystalline within the Earth's crust where humans live. The crystalline grid is also, in addition, it's quantumly aligned with the cave of creation. Okay, let's talk about the cave of creation. As defined by Kryon, it is a real place that will never be found on this planet. It connects and unites the physical to the spiritual and the multidimensional to the dimensional. It's a place where there are crystalline structures within a memory vault